And we always love having you on, and we're starting with this topic because the hotly anticipated Friends reunion is out on Crave today. The original cast is back on the iconic set and they're joined by a number of really high-profile guests. So there's been a lot of hype around this and a celebration. What do you think it is about this show that still captivates people's hearts and imaginations?
Well, it's important to remember when Friends came out, right? Like, I think that what happened back in the day was before Crave, before Netflix, before all these streaming services, we all kind of watch the same thing all the time. It's what is called monoculture. So especially on Thursday nights on NBC, remember, it was Friends, it was Seinfeld, it was ER. We were parked on the couch for 3 hours, all of us together. And then the next day, we all talked about it. And if you missed it, you missed it. You couldn't PVR, and like only 1 in 1,000 people knew how to set the timer on your VCR. Remember that? I didn't know how to set the timer on a VCR. So, we all watch the same thing, and we're tapping into that experience and memory.
I think it raised a really good point, and it's like a friend of mine who works in film and television pointed out to me that it's very rare that you have any kind of what we used to call broadcasting. Right, where you cast to a lot of people, and it's like back in the time when Friends was on the go. Of course, as Lainey said, everybody watched the same thing. Everybody was there, and everybody watched it at the same time. My kid, my son is almost 15, and my friends' kids are around the same age, and it's completely foreign to them, the notion that you would sit down at a specific time and watch something, and you might miss
Appointment
it,
TV.
And I always lament for children now that they don't have that glory special time that we had on Saturday mornings when it was the only time that television was just for you, when cartoons came on and stuff. But my friends' kids binge watch Friends. I think they graduated from watching Full House or something, binge watching old Full Houses. And now they're full on Friends, and they're Friends fanatics. And I think it's just one of those shows that just. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting that it still resonates on some level, right? Because my niece as well, she's 13, and she also binge watched the show. And a lot of the messages still, they don't hold up necessarily today, but what does, I think, register with people is this idea of friends being together, living in New York or starting out their lives, right? They're falling in love, they're falling out of love. I know for me, there was a moment in my life where I started secretly dating one of my friends, and we would refer to each other as Monica and Chandler. So it was a real point of cultural reference for a while. One of the things I think people also tuned in for were the guest appearances. And they had such a roster of really famous guests. I'm thinking of Julia Roberts was on that. Do you remember this? That was the most watched episode that it was ever on of Friends.
It was after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I remember,
Reese Witherspoon played Rachel's sister, and she's actually going to be on the reunion, so people I think will tune in for that. And of course, Brad Pitt, who apparently, we don't have to go into why he was a favored sort of guest, but I mean, wouldn't it be amazing if he showed up? Yeah, I don't think he will, but there's just something about that.
Yeah, no. I don't think.
Listen, I might pass out if that happened for sure, but no, I don't think that is going to.
Do you remember Sean Penn? Do you remember Sean Penn? Yes, starring on. That is what blows my mind. I think he was Ursula, who's Phoebe's twin sister, Ursula's boyfriend. But Sean Penn, I completely forgot.
Yeah,
Tom
Gab Union. There were so many. Tom Selleck, of course.
I'm pretty sure Tom Selleck was on there, which just seemed so weird at the time. I remember that was the only one that I went it seems odd to me that Tom Selleck is hanging around with this gang. But I think what you say was that. I think it was that.
No, you go on, Alan.
Everybody wanted to be in New York. Everybody wanted, and if they went to New York, they wanted it to be like it is on Friends, right? That's what New York is like, as far as you were concerned. When you were, 22, you could afford a 1,000 square foot apartment in Lower Manhattan. That's how it worked.
Even though it was shot in LA.
Exactly. That was kind of funny. Rachel working at a clothing boutique. She worked at Ralph Lauren, and that apartment was incredible. It's well, is that possible? But when you guys are telling all of these stories, I can't think of another show. And I didn't watch Friends religiously, but I know all the things that you're referencing. I know Rachel's haircut. I can still sing lines from Smelly Cat. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't think of another show that resonates or that is sort of part of our like collective unconscious or subconscious
is probably the closest one.
But you know what? I think for me right now, because I'm with you, Jess, of course I watched it. It was appointment television on Thursdays. But I think it's the timing of this reunion is perfection. We've all been at home for a year and a half. I can probably speak for a lot of people who are saying, I miss my friends. Not only was Friends the show sort of your pseudo friends, but they are today. When you look back at the nostalgia of that show, you just go, but I miss my friends. In fact, before we even were talking about this today, on my reels on Instagram, I actually have posted a montage of like the good times. And I literally used the Friends font. And I said, I miss my friends because we're all missing our friends. And so this is going to be, I predict, a hugely viewed event tonight because we're all in the same boat going, when am I going to be able to do that with my friends again? So I think this is perfection on some. It taps into the nostalgia and it taps into the very today phenomenon that we feel really lonely without our pals. Yeah. Listen, I want to remind everybody that we do have a reminder if you want to watch this tonight. Catch HBO Max's Friends, The Reunion. It is exclusively on Crave today.